We're back for our last session of the day. So Suzanne will get us going, and this session is about what is next in PKU nutrition.
It looks like we're a few slides ahead, so I'm just going to back up a little bit. Okay, great. So thank you so much for being here today, and thanks to VitaFlow for a great day of presentations. So I'm going to present on that tricky transition period from infant PKU formula to next step or toddler PKU formula. And that's what typically happening during toddlerhood when there's already so many changes going on. So this is presented by VitaFlow, and I have worked as a consultant for VitaFlow. So the learning objectives of this presentation are to describe the timeline and process of transitioning a child with PKU from an infant PKU formula to a next stage or toddler PKU formula. Explain considerations for families and clinicians to consider for the different next stage formulas, and to identify strategies for maintaining nutrient adequacy and blood phenylalanine or Phe level stability throughout this formula transition process. So PKU nutritional management, as most of you probably know, consists of a Phe-containing protein source alongside a Phe-free or low-Phe protein source. Together, these provide all the essential nutrients an infant and toddler with PKU will need. So throughout that first year of life, the Phe-containing portion of the nutrients come from human milk or standard Phe-containing infant formula, with the remainder of nutrients coming from a PKU infant formula. Starting around 6 months of age, low-Phe complementary foods, such as fruits and vegetables, are introduced to provide alternative sources of Phe-containing protein. And at the same time, some families may introduce a Phe-free semi-solid to provide additional Phe-free protein equivalents for the growing infant. Sometime around or after 12 months of age is when we would consider a PKU next step formula to be introduced. Exactly when and how to introduce this varies based on the individual, and that's what I will discuss throughout the rest of the presentation. So after the child is a year old, and for some kids with PKU, it's really well after that 12-month mark, we begin to think about when the right time is to transition from PKU infant to PKU next step formula. And we consider the evolving nutrient needs of the child, their phenylalanine and tyrosine level stability, how much formula volume they're required to take to meet those nutrient needs and maintain that Phe level control, and then what their food intake overall is like. And we also want to consider when the family is ready to make changes. So in thinking about evolving nutrient needs of a toddler, we see an increase in their total protein needs, while the total Phe tolerance typically does not keep pace. The table below is from the GMDI and CERN nutrition management guidelines for PKU. And what we see from 9 to 12 months of age is that Phe needs are 135 to 330 milligrams per day, while total protein needs are 2 to 2.5 grams per kilo per day. Between 1 and 4 years, Phe needs do not really increase much. They're about 200 to 320 milligrams per day, and protein needs are 1.5 to 2.1 grams per kilo. That weight of the child during that time will likely have rapidly increased. So what you can see in the pink box is the total need for a child who's a female who's the 50th percentile weight for age. And we are just using this as an example. So at 12 months, she would need 20 grams of total protein and 135 milligrams of Phe. Well, at 3 years, she would need about 25 grams of protein and then only would tolerate about 200 milligrams of Phe. So what this creates is actually a 4-gram protein deficit from a Phe-containing protein source. And that deficit must be made up with PKU formula in terms of protein equivalence. So if we use infant formula to make that PKU infant formula to make up that difference, we have to significantly increase the volume that the toddler is relying on. Whereas what you'll see in the coming slides is that if we switch at this point to a PKU next stage formula, we're able to keep reasonable volume expectations for age for this child. So in addition to evolving protein and feed needs, which I'll continue to talk about, toddlers' micronutrient needs also change. And many toddlers have a reduction in the calories they need from formula as they begin taking increasing amounts of low protein complementary foods. So for this reason, next stage formulas have a higher protein to calorie ratio than do PKU infant formulas. You can see the breakdown per 15-gram protein equivalents for PKU infant formula on the left in light blue, which has 514 calories. PKU powdered next stage formula, which is this darker blue in the middle, which has 201 calories for 15-gram protein equivalents. And then PKU formula, which has 161 calories for the same number of protein equivalents. So this caloric distribution is something to consider both in terms of the readiness of the child to transition, as well as which formula options are most clinically meaningful for that child. Another consideration, which of course correlates to nutrient needs, is the phenylalanine and tyrosine level stability of the toddler that you're working with. So blood Phe levels can rise in response to inadequate total protein equivalent intake. So, and we sometimes see at the same time a correlating fall in the tyrosine levels when this happens. So children are simultaneously perhaps not taking enough protein equivalents from their PKU formula and also not getting enough tyrosine supplementation. So switching to a formula at this point with higher protein equivalents and higher tyrosine amounts by volume and by calorie can help stabilize Phe levels. And at least what I've seen in clinic is that sometimes we're able to stabilize Phe levels even without reducing phenylalanine in the diet. So toddlers are able to maintain their same dietary Phe restriction by going up on the protein equivalents they're getting from their formula. So below at the bottom of this slide, you see the breakdown of tyrosine supplementation per 100 calories of formula in an infant formula on the left, the next stage powdered formula in the middle, and the next stage ready to drink product on the right. So it's very clear that there's an enormous jump in the tyrosine supplementation from infancy to toddler, like from the infant formula to the toddler or next stage formulas. And then there's sort of a slight difference between a powdered formula and a ready to drink. So total formula volume and a child's food intake are other considerations for both when and what switch to make for an individual child's transition. So next stage PKU formulas, for the reasons we just described, may reduce the need for the total formula volume, or they will increase the protein equivalents and tyrosine while maintaining the child's current volume. What we see is that unachievable PKU infant formula volumes are really a clear sign that a child's ready to transition to a toddler formula. This high reliance on PKU infant formula through the later toddler years can interfere with food intake and the progression of a varied PKU-friendly diet. It also can be very challenging for toddlers who are trying to transition to a cup to do so with their formula if their volume intake has to be so high. Most toddlers, as they transition to a cup, really have to go down on the total amount of volume that they're taking each day. So finally, family readiness is critical for making a big transition for the PKU formula. The metabolic dietitian can really walk a family through the appropriate options of next stage formulas, keeping in mind the child's individual needs and the clinical indicators. So families can be presented with different options, including amino acid-based next stage formula or GMP formulas. They can be presented with higher volume and higher calorie options if that's clinically most suitable for the child, while they could be presented with relatively lower calorie or lower volume options if that seems clinically appropriate for that toddler. Families should really also be encouraged to think about and share their own needs in a formula. With an infant formula, they only, for the most part, had the option of formulas that looked one way. They were amino acid based and they were powdered. So they can now consider ready to drink options. They can consider if GMP variety is what they want. They also may think about different brands of formula based on customer support. And of course, in the United States, at least, ease of access and insurance coverage is going to dictate some of that for each family. Finally, toddlers' eating and formula drinking behaviors really can help guide what this transition looks like. So for those toddlers ready to transition away from a baby bottle, a lower volume per protein equivalent option may be more suitable as they acclimate to taking the full volume of formula from a cup. Some toddlers adapt with relative ease to the new taste of a formula. Not many, but some do. And then many toddlers require a very slow, staged transition. So that's also something that as the dietitian, you can help guide and give sort of incremental steps, which we'll show in a few slides. But really in either case, I usually generally recommend that families try to make one change at a time. I think it can be overwhelming if they try to both switch the type of formula and switch the mechanism which the child's taking it, like from a bottle to a cup at the same time. Makes it challenging for them to know what's being rejected if there's not in kind of instant seamless transition, which there rarely is. So during this transition, I also have found that it can be really helpful for if the child accepts the PKU semi-solid. This is a great time to have that be a kind of control throughout the process so that they can lean heavily on that when the child is faltering with the transition process or having difficulty transitioning to the new formula. They have something that's consistent that's still providing those protein equivalents and a lot of that needed nutrition. So now I'll share an example from clinic. This is Jamie, who's a 20-month-old with PKU. And so in infancy, her feed-containing protein source was breast feeds, and she, of course, received PKU Infant formula to offset the feed intake from human milk. Around 6 months, she started a fee-free semi-solid, and the family also at that point introduced 0 grams of protein from counted foods. And that 0 grams progressed through toward the ends of the first year to be about 2 grams of counted protein from food. At around 12 months, Jamie stopped breastfeeding and was consuming 2 to 3 grams of counted protein from food, plenty of other low-fee foods that were uncounted. And the family was also adding cow's milk as needed to her formula in measured amounts. And that was to give her her daily feed intake when she wasn't eating as much protein. During this time, the family was really diligent about doing weekly feed levels, and her feed and tyrosine levels were really nicely within the target range, and her growth and weight gain were right on track. She was doing very well. Then from 19 to 20 months, Jamie's tyrosine levels were decreased persistently to an average of 33 micromoles per liter over 5 months. We changed everything. We changed the time of day. We did it after PKU formula, but she also was having a lot of truly low tyrosine levels. Our lab just does below the detectable limit of less than 28 micromole per liter. During that time, her Phe levels were fortunately quite stable and even toward the lower end of the target range. So what we knew is that during that time, Jamie was taking her current PKU Infant formula volume quite well, but she was having difficulty getting an intact protein needs from food. So she was, that's when the family was started supplementing with cow's milk. She was also taking a PKU semi-solid, and the family found that really helpful because she occasionally would refuse all of her PKU Infant formula when she was sick or when she was moody, as toddlers are. And the family was interested in transitioning to a GMP next stage formula, and they wanted a ready-to-drink alternative. With her tyrosine levels low and her inability to hit the amount of food we felt she needed, we thought this was a great time to reduce the volume and increase the tyrosine. So what you can see here was her original regimen with PKU Infant formula. She was getting 12 ounces of a standard dilution PKU Infant formula, plus the PKU semi-solid for a total protein of 18 grams per day. We progressed that to step 1. We did like a stage transition for Jamie. So she was getting 8 ounces of standard dilution infant formula, 2 ounces of the new GMP ready to drink. It was all mixed together. Continued 2 packets per day of the semi-solid. And so we progressively increased the reliance on the ready to drink formula throughout these steps until we got to step 3, which was our final goal. And she was taking 8 ounces of the next stage ready to drink, 2 packets of the semi-solid, and really getting quite a bit more protein equivalence, as well as you can see at the bottom, really a lot more tyrosine. So after the transition, her tyrosine levels improved consistently, averaging around 64 micromoles per liter over the 8 months following the transition. Her Phe levels remained stable, always averaging at the lower end of the target range over 8 months, but really without any true hypo-Phe. So we were not concerned when they were slightly below 120 micromoles per liter. So she was taking the new ready to drink GMP PKU formula and working on transitioning to a cup, doing pretty well with that. And then she also the family was working to increase her variety of foods at meal times, as well as her total volume food intake at meal times. Having a decreased reliance on a high volume formula was really helpful with that. The family did continue to use dairy milk to supplement when she didn't hit her protein goal. Because Jamie has such a tight block, we didn't want to introduce any higher protein food groups or types of foods. We really wanted to keep her in a range of foods that we felt would grow with her throughout later childhood and into adolescence. And she really continued to enjoy the PKU semi-solid, which was helpful like during the cup transition and during other periods to provide some consistency. And most importantly, the current plan with this works really well for the family who likes having a ready-to-drink formula. So in summary, transition to a next stage PKU formula should take into account the child's nutrient needs, their phenylalanine and tyrosine levels, their behavioral readiness, and the family's choice and readiness. Next stage formulas are better able to meet toddlers and children's evolving nutrient needs. This includes increasing total protein and tyrosine needs, and it helps maintain an age-appropriate volume intake. A staged progression from infant to next stage formula, like we saw in Jamie's case example, that along with a consistent approach to feeding can really help smooth the transition process for children and for families. And I'm now going to pass it off to Elisabetta.
Thank you, Suzanne. We'll take some questions at the end. We'll just go through the last portion of this session right here, and I'm just going to wait for the slides to come back on. Thank you. So at VitaFlow, our passion and our why is to enhance lives together for people living with rare conditions requiring nutrition therapy as the cornerstone of medical management. For 25 years, our sole focus has been medical food research and development. We are consistently evolving our product range to offer more choices with flexibility and convenience so that we can make it easier, hopefully, for people to manage their condition and incorporate nutritional therapies into their daily routines. So today, I am very excited to share with you VitaFlow's latest innovation and unique solution in PKU nutrition. PKU Sphere Next is VitaFlow's new GMP formula for people with PKU from 1 year of age and over. PKU Sphere Next is a creamy, neutral flavored, ready to drink, low phenylalanine medical food containing a blend of GMP, essential and non-essential amino acids, fat, carbohydrate, vitamins, minerals, and DHA. PKU Sphere Next is VitaFlow's first GMP formula option from 1 year of age and is a tailored next stage formula option. Its nutritional composition is perfectly suited for the young child and also suitable for anyone at any age. Let's talk about some of the main features of PKU Sphere Next. First and foremost, PKU Sphere Next is truly designed with care for people with PKU for ages 1 year and over. It contains the same very well-studied and trusted protein source as the other PKU Sphere products in the VitaFlow portfolio. It offers low volume, high protein content, 15 grams of protein equivalents in 6 fluid ounces, a range of micronutrients. This specialized formula was designed with no artificial sweeteners, no flavors, and no added colors, which would appeal to ingredient-conscious caretakers or consumers. Unlike some other PKU formulas available, it does not have a high amount of added sugar. Instead, we have added beneficial fats, mostly monounsaturated fats, are there to increase the calorie value and contribute to its mild and creamy taste. PKU Sphere Next is a good option for transitioning from infant to a next stage formula, or anyone over the age of 1 who prefers a neutral or convenient or nutrition-packed GMP formula option. Now let's take a closer look at the macronutrient profile. As we've heard today in previous talks, the low-protein diet can contribute about 60 to 70% of total calories from carbohydrate. It provides lower intake of fat, particularly healthy fats, and may potentially lack in sources of essential fatty acids. With nutritional quality at the heart of the design of PKU Sphere Next, it provides an optimized balance of macronutrients. Most of the energy is provided by a carefully selected blend of beneficial fat sources. 43% of the calories are from fat, 37% is from protein, the same GMP and amino acid blend as PKU Sphere powder, and 19% is from carbohydrate, which, as we know, is very abundant in the typical PKU diet. PKU Sphere Next is for anyone over the age of 1 that's interested in a GMP formula option. This includes young children transitioning to a next stage formula, individuals with PKU at any age, those who depend on formula for much of their energy needs and overall nutrition. PKU Sphere Next is specifically designed to meet the higher protein to calorie needs of young children. In addition to its nutritional composition, there are 3 features that make it an exciting new next stage formula option. It has a creamy, neutral flavor to support transitioning from PKU Infant formula. It can be offered in a cup to assist transition away from the bottle. And again, it has no artificial sweeteners or flavors, nor added colors. As Suzanne has detailed beautifully and so clearly, balancing meeting a growing toddler's protein goals and supporting solid food intake all at the same time can become tricky with high volumes of formula. With this product, toddlers with PKU need to drink less formula to achieve their daily protein intake goals, and that leaves room for expanding the solid food diet, hopefully. This table shows the amount PKU Sphere Next and other ready-to-drink products a child needs to consume to achieve an intake of 15 grams protein equivalents. With PKU Sphere Next, a child can easily achieve 15 grams protein equivalent daily intake in 3 5-gram or 60 milliliter to fluid ounce servings. Whereas with some of the other products, volumes to achieve the same protein equivalent intake will be 250 to 375 milliliters. Research has shown that adherence to the diet or medical food intake decreases as age increases. But we also know that low volume medical foods may better support adherence to prescribed amount or sustainability, real-time correction. This table shows the comparison of PKU Sphere Next to other ready-to-drink GMP products to achieve an intake of 60 gram protein equivalent per day. With PKU Sphere Next, the total volume is 720 ml, where with some of the other products, you're looking at a liter to a liter and a half for the same amount of protein equivalent. There are some other factors that may make PKU Sphere Next different than other ready-to-drink GMP formulas available. It contains a blend of GMP and amino acids that has been clinically evaluated over 3 years. It's showed safety, efficacy, and metabolic control in children and teenagers. The specialized formula has a desirable balanced macronutrient intake with the lowest amount of sugar and majority of calories coming from beneficial fats. There are only 7 grams of sugar per bottle, whereas the closest product has 61% higher added sugar per gram of protein equivalent. Once again, there are no artificial sweeteners for those who are conscious about these ingredients. And finally, PKU Sphere Next is conveniently packaged with a resealable cap for mess-free use. You can drink it all at once, or some can be saved for later. As a next stage formula choice, it may be offered in a cup to help transition away from the bottle. There's a Sphere product for everyone. PKU Sphere Next 15 is a GMP option for ages 1 year and over for those who require more energy, prefer a creamy, neutral flavor, or to support younger patients meet their protein equivalent goals, to support successful expansion of solid food intake, and help caregivers transition from powder formula preparations to the convenience of a ready-to-drink formula with a resealable cap. PKU Sphere Liquid is the only ready-to-drink GMP option from 3 years of age with 20 grams of protein equivalent serving in an 8 fluid ounce convenient resealable carton. And it's ideal for those who need the ultimate convenience of a ready-to-drink option. PKU Sphere powder can be mixed to only 4 fluid ounces of volume, and it also offers variety with its 5 delicious flavor options. There is a PKU Sphere product tailored to meet the unique needs of every individual. So in summary, it is not easy to meet daily protein equivalent intake goals, especially with high volume formulas that can be filling. They can leave little room for meals, for fluids. With PKU Sphere Next, individuals with PKU need to drink less formula to achieve their daily protein intake goals. It provides an optimized balance of macronutrients for those who need more energy from their medical food, and the majority of its energy is provided from carefully selected beneficial fat sources with the lowest amount of sugar. No artificial sweeteners, flavors, no added colors may appeal to ingredient-conscious consumers. It is specifically designed to meet the higher protein to calorie needs of young children with beneficial fats, including EFAs, DHA. As we've learned today, GI issues may be a common challenge in PKU. Evidence is showing that there is dysbiosis in PKU with GI symptoms in children with PKU. GMP, PKU Sphere, significantly improved GI symptoms compared to amino acids in children with PKU. And finally, taste is a very important factor for sustainable intake of the prescribed amount. So with that said, we invite you to scan the QR code if this is a product you want to have on hand in clinic so that your PKU population can take advantage of this product. Please feel free to scan the code, and we will also take any questions that you might have for either myself or for Suzanne. There's a delay, so it might take a few moments before the questions roll in.
Gives me enough time to scan the QR code.
There we go. I'm not seeing any come in, which I will just take as a positive sign that we were crystal clear in our education and presentations. And it is the end of the day, and we've had a very long but very informative and thought-provoking day. So I will, oh, here we go. They're rolling in. I should just have more patience. Okay, so let's see. Erin, I have been sending samples already. Looks like a great option. Thank you, Erin. Okay, and then Jen Beezer, I missed the session. New product? Yes, Jen. We'll connect soon. Okay, very good. Insurance coverage. We have a fantastic Formula for Success program that will help navigate insurance access. So that is something that you are welcome to reach out to your strategic account manager about if you want to learn more. And thank you, looks like an exciting new option. Thank you, Anonymous. Is the product on the Medi-Cal formulary in California? We are working directly with Medi-Cal, so Anne-Marie, more to come. We will definitely let you know as soon as we get word. Okay. Okay. Very good. Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of the day. Thank you to all of our speakers. I think today was just a wonderful day with a lot of different types of discussions, from research to new clinical research to real world examples to our very thought-provoking talk. I feel like I will be thinking about this and probably reviewing all of my presentations to make sure that I am using the language that people can hear. And I would like to also thank all of you who have been with us all day. There's about 100 of you on here, so thank you very much for your time. We hope that this was a good investment of your time.